Hey guys, Mustang here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at the EZA for the LR Shadow Dragons, the Battlefield LR that released quite some time ago now. On release, I think they were somewhat of a decent unit for the Shadow Dragon Saga team, which, I mean, let's be fair, has never particularly been a great team anyway. GT Bosses, 150% and 4 key as their leader skill. I mean, GT Bosses has been getting a ton of buffs with this celebration, of course, but obviously the good thing about Omega's team is that it's not just GT Bosses. I mean, you can make a full GT Bosses team work in some of these events now because we've gotten so many buffs, which is pretty cool. But let's take a look. So their 18 key super greatly raises attack for 1 turn, mega colossal damage to the enemy, greatly lowers attack and defense and a high chance to stun, and the 12 key is greatly raise attack for 1 turn, colossal damage to the enemy, and lowers attack and defense. So they're greatly raising attack on both supers. They don't get any defense on super, which is questionable at first, as we would normally be a bit worried when we don't see any defense raise on super. But their base effects: 4 key, attack and defense 177, GT Bosses allies 3 key, attack and defense 40%. Then per GT Bosses ally or extreme ally on the team, depending on which has more, attack and defense 30%, damage reduction 7%. Now, this is something that's really, really good for them to do for niche extreme characters, because that means you can run them on a team with extreme allies. It doesn't have to be GT Bosses, right? And it's not self-excluded, so it's 30% for, if a maximum, if we have all extreme characters, 7 units. That's an extra 210% attack and defense. So when you look at the 177 they already have, they're at what, 387 attack and defense? Pretty good. And then damage reduction 7%, which obviously is also times by 7, so 49% damage reduction. When all allies are extreme class characters or GT Bosses, attacked effective against all types, all allies attack and defense extra 17%. So they give GT Bosses 57% attack and defense, but they also give all allies the extra bit as well. So if on Omega's team we're running the Rosés, for example, they will at least be giving them 17% attack and defense, which isn't a huge amount, but it's absolutely better than nothing. And then, yeah, when attacking with 12 or more key, 77% attack and defense. When attacking with 18 or more key, another 77%. So that's what, 154% when attacking with 18 key. And then when 24 key, they get 77% crit chance. And when the enemy is attack down or defense down, they get key 7 and attack 77%. Now, considering how much attack lowering there can be on this Omega team, that can be pretty good. They still have the active skill, which unfortunately can't be changed by an EZA, so it's still kind of eh. It's only from turn 7, and it gives them 7 key and debuffs the enemy's attack and defense by 30%, which obviously helps to activate that other part of their passive. But, I mean, Trunks is already defense lowered. Now, the only problem here is they're not a slot 1 unit. So we face the same kind of issue that we saw in the Super Saiyan 4 Goku showcase, where it's very possible that Omega just kills Trunks here with all the support, especially because it's a rainbow friend. He's getting 57% from the Shadow Dragons and the support from Rosé as well. So it's very possible that he just annihilates Trunks here. Yeah, because he's got 56 million and he's going to get at least 1 additional super. Which means we may not get to see the Shadow Dragons do anything on the first turn. I should have just set this up for... I should have just thought ahead and set this up so that we actually had a rotation where they're on turn 2 from the start and not turn 1. But I guess it is what it is. I mean, we may potentially even 1 turn this guy as well. So, I don't know. We'll just go ahead and do that. Make sure we get our orbs for Sin. And then Nova as well. Yeah, the super class and extreme class Divine Wrath Mortal Will boss rush stages are pretty good for checking out these characters. Maybe I should have just done the extreme one, because I like doing the extreme one with super class units and then the super class one with extreme units. But at least the extreme one has that phase with the Immortal Zamasu, so obviously then we can just keep staying in that phase and just keep building up and seeing what characters can do, and it gets rid of the problem of accidentally killing without having the right units on the rotation and stuff, right? But I think, given the damage that we've done so far, we probably do just kill Goku here. Because, yeah, we're doing some pretty great damage already. Now the Shadow Dragons don't have any like full, like they don't have any build up or anything like that, so them not getting to attack straight away in the first turn isn't the end of the world. Nova getting his 18 key super off obviously is good as well, because that carries over the 44% for 4 turns. So now we have double Omega. I'm going to put mine in slot 1. I also didn't use the domain the last time either, because I didn't want to do too much damage. So we'll go ahead and pop the domain this time. The animations are on apparently. I guess that'll be good for when we want to see the Shadow Dragon's active skill though, so I guess we'll leave it on for now. But yeah, we can release the minus energy. I'm putting my Omega in slot 1 because it's only 55%, so that means it's less likely that he just then kills Vegeta and Trunks here, Vegeta and Goku. So we'll go ahead and use our domain, we get our attack buff. So start of turn defense with no support, the Shadow Dragons are at 643k. So bear in mind, when they attack with 18 key, they're getting, was it 100? We said 154% attack and defense. So that puts them up to 1.6, and then they do have 49% damage reduction. So I mean, that's okay. It's not great in terms of tanking like big supers, because I mean it's almost 50%. So if they're at 1.6, that means they'll tank like a 3 million damage super for double digits, but a 4 million, that's going to drop to like 2. They're going to take like 400k. Strange that they don't have defense on super, all things considered. Obviously they're going to be really good with Omega's team paired up with other characters that are lowering attack as well, because you know this team can do so much attack lowering and has loads of support that it will help a lot for these characters that do have slightly lower defense. But yeah, that doesn't seem super great. 1.6 million after attacking, because there's no defense raise on super. But I mean, look at this, because of the support, 57%. This is my 55% Omega, and he still has like a 50 odd million attack stat into a 37. Right, I mean, I guess that's the point of the Shadow Dragons, is they're there for support, but this is a showcase, like we want to see them do something. So finally going to get to see them 18 key super here. 53, okay. Man, it's crazy how many of these units on Omega's team are just going ham with the offense, but not so much with the defense, is kind of the thing. Because this unit specifically, outside of a showcase scenario, I feel like we're really going to be using the Shadow Dragons as a floating third slot support. So we want them to be defensively viable in case there's like a stray slot 3 super. We don't really need, it sounds crazy because damage is always good, right? But Omega's team doesn't need another unit that's dropping like a 50 million attack stat, because we have a lot of units already. I haven't done the STR Omega showcase, but obviously he's going ham as well. Like, actually, yeah, we could do this. Although we can't get a lot of orbs in slot 1 actually. Yeah, the orb situation is actually kind of bad on this turn. I suppose I could go ahead and Rose active here just to get the buff for him and the other Rose. And then we grab those. So that still only leaves 6. Because yeah, the 7 orbs for Nova give him, for Sin, give him the attack lower, like attacked enemies attack lower, which is obviously really good for this Vegito Blue stage of the fight. But yeah, I mean the Shadow Dragons, like, they seem decent in terms of they're providing a ton of support. I mean, it's funny that they are hitting as hard as they are, but obviously they're not a character that necessarily needs to be doing crazy damage, right? We're wanting them on the team for the floating support. 57% for GT bosses is obviously very, very good. So, and then even the 17% for the other allies, right? For this team build, it means if we're floating them in slot 3, one of my rotations would be Rose and Omega. And so it means they're at least giving Rose that little bit of support. He has his own like active skill to back himself up with some extra support as well. Like, Omega's team is actually really, really good. Like, when we finally finished with all the individual showcases, I'm really looking forward to doing a video where we just run through. I might do a slightly longer video and just go through like a couple of the different endgame events. but like all with Omega's team. And I feel like he's going to be really, like, it's going to be really fun, especially any events where any of the enemies can be attack lowered. Like, this team can just do so much, like the STR Omega passive, all the extra buffs, like the Shadow Dragons getting that extra buff from enemies being attack lowered. I mean, it's attack or defense lowered. Unfortunately, there are a lot of bosses still that can be defense lowered, so that is obviously really good. But yeah, we share every link except for Nightmare with Omega, because obviously they don't have Fierce Battle, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Bear in mind also, actually, to be fair, one thing I did forget, which I'm sure someone's already typed in the comments, remember that whilst I say they have 49% damage reduction, with double Omega, with them now both in play with their passives active, remember that when they pick up their orbs, the Omegas are giving us the 10% damage reduction for GT bosses for 2 turns. So now that we've picked up the Rainbow Orb with this Omega, and we got a Rainbow Orb with the Omega on the previous turn, the Shadow Dragons actually have 69% damage reduction. So, and they're starting out here at 7.2, or 725k I should say. 725 plus 908, and then plus 154%. So when they attack, they go up to 1.84 million, and they do have 69% damage reduction. So if we take like a 7 million damage super, let's say, minus 69%, that drops down to 2.1. So actually, they'd be taking, what, a 7 million damage super for about 300k-ish, 400k, even if it's 500k, 600k, like, we're living that from on full health on this team. So that's the big thing, right, that you kind of got to think about. It's almost like the meme about the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku effect on Power Beyond Super Saiyan characters. That's one thing to remember, that because they are a GT bosses unit, past the first turn, once we've got both the Omegas activated with their Rainbow Orb passive, these guys actually have 69% damage reduction, which makes a huge difference when it comes to big attacks. Because something like, even like a 5 million damage, if we're not talking about some of the hardest hitting bosses, you take 69% off of that, that's 1.5. They're clearing that after they attack fairly easily. So they're taking double-digit damage from a 5 million damage super. Now, the other thing you have to remember, of course, is there's things like super versus extreme does more damage. So super class enemies are going to do a bit more damage than that. So they will potentially get taken out by a big boss super. Type disadvantage, obviously they don't have guard. So, like, the final phase of this boss rush is against a physical Sword of Hope Trunks, and he hits for like 7 point something million. So they will get absolutely obliterated by his super attack. But, I mean, you can't hold that against a free-to-play EZA character, and one of the only super attacks in the game that they can't tank is one of the hardest hitting super class bosses that has type advantage over them. I mean, can't really complain about that too much, I don't think. But yeah, let's go ahead and, I mean, we might even kill, this is the problem with the Omega team putting out as much damage as it does. We might actually just kill Trunks before we even get to the Sword of Hope, like, stage or phase. Because, like, this rotation is obviously very good. Like, the domain is up, we've got the double Rosé here, so obviously the Rosé support. We've still got the Omega support in play from the previous turn. Like, obviously the defensive support he gives to everyone else on the team is really good. But if you're a GT boss unit specifically, all the GT bosses characters on the team are getting an extra 20% damage reduction. So that is one thing I really did forget to factor in at the beginning when we're talking about them having 49% damage reduction. If they start on their first turn with one Omega, they're already actually at 59%. And then as soon as you get the next Omega active on like turn 2 and then they're back on turn 3, they're actually at 69% damage reduction all the time, which is pretty good. So, I mean, if they had defense on super, they would actually be tanking like all of the supers in the game apart from fully built up Rosé, who is still the go-to, like, absolute menace. The boss that will be doing the most damage to our units, essentially, is the fully built up in Rosé. This could be bad for AGL Rosé, as it's the first hit of the turn. 300k. I guess that's not too bad. Sword of Hope Trunks could immediately super, though, which would be really bad. Okay, so we can use our active skill. I don't think it really does anything super useful here, but go ahead and do this. Get ourselves a bit of a heal. Let's put the we'll put the animation on so we can at least see it. So this is their active skill, which of course is Key +7, all enemies attack and defense -30%. This Trunks can't be attack lowered or defense lowered, which this means they also don't get that attack buff from their passive, unfortunately. But I guess one other change that would be very nice is if this was actually an attack. But yeah, it's still pretty cool. But yeah, it's nothing like too crazy. The extra key effect is obviously nice for some of these later turns, but the problem with Sword of Hope Trunks is he could immediately slot 1 super and just destroy Omega, because it's my 55% one in slot 1. Okay, I think as long as we get to super first, I think we're good. 47 mil. Okay. 42.6. I mean, for a unit that's providing the support that this unit is, and has the capability to tank most of the difficult event supers, I would say that's pretty good. Their biggest problem, like many of the units even from this celebration, like the EZAs and other stuff, their biggest problem is obviously they can't be a slot 1 unit. So against all these bosses that have rotation locking, if they get locked in slot 1, then they are going to get crushed, right? Because 700k defense start of turn, even with 69% damage reduction, isn't going to help them when it comes to like big boss super attacks and stuff, right? So just go ahead and do Nova's active skill here. I think this might actually just be enough to finish him off. We're not going to get another turn with the Shadow Dragon's army because Trunks doesn't have enough HP left. But I think what we can see with the fact that they don't get any build up or anything, we're obviously not going to see them reach any sort of higher heights. We've had some turns with some decent support. I think they are pretty good. They're just yet another unit that goes on Omega's team, giving his whole team a buff. I like the fact that they're supporting even the non-GT bosses characters as well, because that makes the Rosé just that little bit better, and he's already one of the best units on the Omega team. And here he is with like a 50 million attack stat. Mine has 1 dupe. 50 million attack stat with just the links with Omega, which is Fierce Battle, Big Bad Bosses, and Legendary Power. So yeah, the Shadow Dragon army, I think a very good addition. I think what you're essentially going to be running, or like what my build will be for the Omega team when we do this video where we try and run through a bunch of these events, is your rotations are going to be like Omega and Tech Sin, and then Omega and Rosé. And then you've got supports floating, you've got the STR Omega, the Shadow Dragon army, and then the AGL Rosé. So it's basically this team, but replace Nova with STR Omega. And man, this team is going to be cooking. So yeah, Shadow Dragon LR, pretty good. A support unit that's able to tank the majority of tough attacks that we're facing currently. Obviously, the hardest hitting bosses, it's still going to be an issue sometimes, but that's, you know, what can you ask for from a free-to-play support unit? Like, the fact that they can even build up to the ability to tank some of these big damage supers is pretty good. So I would say that they are a W. Free-to-play units in this celebration have been treated very well. The clones, Nova, these guys. So very happy with that. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.